What if I told you that the DNA of the music in your favorite movies and video games was actually written like 500 years ago? Seriously. Today, we're going to dive into an epic era that completely changed how music sounds. Forever.
So picture this. You're playing your favorite multiplayer game. It's not about one hero doing all the work. It's about the team, right? Every player has a super specific role, and you only win if everyone performs their part perfectly. Well, what if I told you that 16th century choirs were basically the same thing? No backup singers, no side characters. Everybody was a main character.
To really get how they pulled this off, we got to go back and see how music itself completely leveled up. It went from being a single-player experience to a full-on, cooperative, multiplayer raid.
So for centuries, most music was what we call monophony, which is just a fancy word meaning everyone sang the exact same tune. Think of it like a single-player mission. But then came polyphony, and this is where things get really cool. Polyphony means you have multiple, totally independent melodies all being sung at the same time. Each singer has their own part, their own mission, but it all combines to create this one massive, incredible sound.
Yeah, so this was a huge leap. I mean, it's the difference between just humming a simple tune by yourself and hearing a massive movie soundtrack where you've got strings, brass, and drums all telling their own little part of the story. But get this, back then the only instrument they were using was the human voice. And this awesome new style, it hit its absolute peak in the 16th century. People literally call this period the golden age of choral music. This was the main event.
And a ton of this music was performed a cappella. You've probably heard that term. It literally means in the style of the chapel, and it means you're singing with zero instruments. None. Why? Well, at the time, they believed the human voice was the most perfect instrument there is.
And this just shows the insane level of skill these singers had. I mean, think about it. There were no instruments to give them the right note to start on. There was no conductor waving a stick to keep everyone on beat. There was literally no safety net. Each singer had to rely completely on their own training and trust their teammates big time. Becoming one of these singers was like training to go pro in a sport. You'd start as a little kid in a special music school, learning to read this incredibly complex sheet music. You had to have your own part memorized perfectly, but you also had to be listening to everyone else's melody at the same time, and just trust that they were going to nail their parts too. It was the ultimate team sport. And just like today, new tech helped this trend absolutely explode. The invention of the printing press meant that for the first time ever, you could copy sheet music fast and share it all over Europe. This super complex choral music basically went viral, 1500 style.
So how on earth did they actually write this stuff, right? How do you make 4 or 5 or even 6 different melodies sound good together instead of just a chaotic mess? Well, composers had a whole playbook of clever tricks, and one of them was the key to everything.
One of the most important tools they had was a technique called imitation. The idea is actually pretty simple, but the effect is mind-blowing. One singer starts a melody, and then, a few seconds later, another singer jumps in with the exact same one. It's kind of like a stadium wave, or maybe a TikTok dance challenge, you know? One person starts a move, and then it gets passed along. So you have one voice, then another, all overlapping to create this incredible flowing wave of sound. That was the secret to making the music feel organized and awesome, even with so much going on.
And here's what's so wild. Even though this music sounds super emotional and beautiful, it was actually built on a foundation of pure logic and math. It's true. Composers use these strict rules, almost like a secret code or a complex puzzle, to figure out exactly which notes would sound good together. It was just as much a science as it was an art.
So, okay, why are we talking about 500-year-old choir music? Because believe it or not, you can hear its echoes all over the place today. Its DNA is in the music you listen to every single day.
See, the golden age of polyphony laid the groundwork for basically everything that came next. The rules of harmony they figured out led straight to the drama of opera, and those same basic principles are still the foundation for the epic movie scores and video game soundtracks we all love today.
So if you remember one thing, make it this. The rulebook for harmony, for how to make different musical lines sound awesome together, was basically written during this era. The fundamental ideas of weaving melodies together to create power and emotion, that all started right here. It's a technique that's totally timeless. So next time you're watching a movie or playing a game and that big, epic music swells up with all these different layers, listen close. Can you hear the different parts kind of
talking to each other? Can you spot that 500-year-old trick of imitation? You might be surprised at what you find.